Hey guys, welcome back for another Creators Chat Q&A. This time we are debating, is it better to have a career that you are successful at but makes you unhappy, or to have one that might be a struggle and you might not have as much success, you might not make as much money, but it's something that you love and makes you happy?
I love this question.
This is always a fun one.
You're going to have to make me not talk for half an hour.
I mean, you can.
Just go. Just like a new Creators Chat.
Yeah, I'll just take a nap.
We'll just be here. Do you want to start on that one?
No.
You want me to start?
I think you're starting on this one.
Okay.
You're just diving in.
So
you're raring to go.
I'm like, I'll be back. This one is so close to my heart because I've experimented with both.
Mm-hmm.
I've been kind of my whole life geared towards the success route because I've kind of come from like a not well-off background and everyone wanted the best for me. So for me, the priority was like, get a good job, get lots of money, then be happy kind of thing. All that, like the success and the money would make me happy. But that was like a cornerstone. Like I had to get that first and then I can kind of work on the rest. And that I will say is a noble cause. I will not slate it. There is something to be said about making the money to live. There's like that happiness graph, the study that showed that to a certain point, money does make you happier. The ability to pay your bills and not have like bailiffs visiting, to not have like, I don't know, landlords knocking on your door trying to evict you because you haven't paid the rent in 6 months. Those are things that will make you happier. If you have the money to just kind of avoid those nasty situations in life, it makes you happy. I am glad that I went down that route first. I am glad that I spent those years looking after myself first, because if I had not done that, I know I would have been sadder. If I did not have the means to pay the bills and stuff, which I would not have done if I'd pursued it too early, I would have been sadder. There is nothing wrong with doing a job that does not make you that happy in order to get by. It is what most of the world is doing. It is what most of the world is doing with good reason. There are ways to make yourself happy in those situations. You should not think any less of yourself for doing that. It is completely okay. And to be honest, there are a lot of people who are happier doing that than there are a lot of people who are doing the latter and therefore not happy. So yes, on the flip side, there is the kind of idea of pursuing your dream job, doing the thing that makes you incredibly happy, but not having the money to get by kind of thing. That can be very difficult. You, on the one hand, are not doing a soul-destroying job, which is wonderful. I am a much happier person in my work. Sure. Now I'm not doing a soul-destroying job.
Yep.
That's wonderful. On the flip side, not getting by is a real deal. It's not something to just kind of shoulder off. And I don't want to encourage people to just dive out of their miserable ships, because diving into a lack of success is not necessarily a guarantee to make you happier. I think that there is a very good reason for people to continue doing a job that they don't necessarily enjoy while making sure that on the side, these things can take time. It can take so many years to transition. But I think that transition is important. I don't think we should glorify the idea of jumping ship just to get the happy job to then realise that I can't pay the rent.
Right.
I think that sometimes glorifying the people who do that is damaging to most people. Because it almost builds up this idea that doing a job that you're not fully enjoying is in some way a failure.
Right.
It is not. I of course would advocate for the best of both worlds, for doing the things that you don't enjoy to make ends meet, while working to kind of transition your work into something that's way more enjoyable. That I do advocate. I would love for everybody to be pushing towards work they want to do. But glorifying the idea of doing your day job and you will be happy forever isn't really true. I have been miserable plenty of times doing my art and I haven't even had that much pressure.
Right.
So dealing with financial difficulty at the same time, that isn't happiness.
No.
So yeah, I think honestly, I would say that there is a certain level of being able to get by that I would prioritise personally. Making sure I've got financial stability is a priority to me, and then I would try to make my work happier. I think there are good ways of finding happiness when the situation is not great. And I think that glorifying this golden career path where everything is happy is damaging to people.
I definitely agree, and this is pretty relevant to me because I had a comfortable middle class upbringing and was set up well by my parents to go study art. I picked a very risky career, and they funded me while I was a teenager and doing all my drawings and paintings and stuff and learning art and pursuing this thing that was very, very risky. And they were just very supportive about it, and I didn't have to go get a minimum wage job. I didn't have to suffer through that stuff. And I know I've had all those privileges. And the thing is that it all worked out for me. I picked a very risky career because I knew I had a safety net, and it all worked out. And now I make plenty of money, I'm very successful, and it all seems good. But I'm not an idiot. I realized there's a severe survivorship bias here going on, where I think, well, I worked hard, and therefore I got jobs, and therefore I made money, and
I
that's
did this
easy.
all myself, and everyone should do the same.
Right, and that's so easy. And clearly, if someone just works really hard and throws themselves into it and doesn't have a backup plan, that they'll be fine. But I also realize that that's not reality. The reality is that I'm in a very risky career that very few people actually manage to make work. And it's tough. It's a tough grind. I've done the full-time freelance thing, and it's really, really hard. So I get it. And a lot of people aren't going to be able to get enough jobs to support themselves. They're going to be miserable. They're going to, bail out. It's going to be awful. And then they're going to end up poor, destitute, and, homeless. It's not a good situation. And I realize there's that very real risk. And so I don't want to lie to people and say, yeah, everyone can do it,
You just got to try hard enough.
Yeah, you're not trying hard enough if you're not succeeding, because that's not reality. I realize there's been a tremendous amount of luck during my career that has helped me get to where I am now. I realize that, from my early childhood of being supported and being an artist to, now, I happen to have had a lot of lucky strikes along the way, which has led me here. And I get that.
Yeah.
It's not something that I feel guilty about, but it's also not something where I'm deluding myself into thinking that I did everything myself, because I didn't do everything myself. Sure, I did a lot of work. I worked hard. I focused on the right things. Yeah, okay, but that doesn't guarantee everyone's success. Everyone who does the exact same thing that I did would not all be guaranteed to end up where I am now. And that's just the way it is, which is why I do think that people need to prioritize, having some sort of livable standard, working a job that they don't necessarily like, having a safety net of some sort so that they don't end up in an even worse situation. Don't take ridiculous risks on any of this stuff, because it's just not worth it. And, obviously this will depend on you. Like, a lot of people are going to be fine studying art by going to a third world country and living, a minimum wage lifestyle in a hostel, and they'll be fine with that sort of living situation. Other people are going to want to be more comfortable. They're going to want to live around friends. They're going to want to live, in the suburbs.
Or in the city where it's expensive, because they want more social events.
They want that, and that's fine. So you're going to need to calibrate your own sort of work to living situation that is going to be ideal for making you happy. And that's important. And so once you've set up this environment where you can both work and study, then you can do that. And if it happens to be that you're slowly transitioning into making art professionally and you're making money from it, great. If you don't, that's fine, because frankly, not everyone can or will.
I went through a really interesting phase that I tell people about this a lot, because I had the epiphanies too late. When you and I met, there was about a year in between us meeting and then me quitting my job and joining you to travel around the world and do the thing we do. And for that year, I studied my arse off. I wanted to get really good at art, and my dream was to be self-sufficient by the time I left London. Spoiler, I wasn't. I worked really, really hard for that 1 year, and I worked around my soul-destroying, long hours day job. And I would tell myself that everything is going to be better when I leave here, when Noah takes me away. I'm going to work so much harder on my art. I'm going to be so much happier. I was for about a week or two. And then I was just the same person. I was progressing at the same rate. I was working just as hard and I was just as happy. I obviously had fewer extrinsic things making me sad, but I would just then turn inward instead.
Yeah.
And I realised far too late that I had all of the power to make myself happy back then, and I was kind of projecting into the future and saying everything is going to be okay when, and then I got there and I was just the same person.
Yeah.
And I wish that I had realised that sooner, and that I had the ability to make the best of my situation, but I was instead choosing to glorify this other thing that I was going to get to do. And then I did it, and I wasn't significantly happier. I am now, because I've taken the time to understand myself, and I've continued working, and I kind of got my head out of the kind of like self-deprecation cloud. But I could have done that sooner. I didn't need the extrinsic things to be right before I started doing that. And so I will not tell people that jumping ship and quitting your awful job is the best thing to do. It has made me happy in the long run, but it didn't make me happy immediately. And if I didn't have you as a safety net, I would have been far worse. I could not have done that leap without you. And so I will not tell people that doing a day job they don't like is a waste of their time, it's a failing or anything like that. Like, it's completely okay, and like projecting yourself into this other situation will not guarantee you happiness. Perseverance is for sure the most common thing that makes people successful. Continuing on, and like in the end, I think that most people who get to persevere for a long time will be successful, but I don't think that you have to quit the job in order to do that. I think it's completely okay that these things take time, and it will continue to take time even if you quit the day job. I didn't go from, like, I was doing kind of 40 to 50 hour weeks, so I had the time that, like, as in, like, that was the time I was spending working. When I quit my day job, I didn't then do 40 to 50 hour work weeks of art. I continued doing almost the same, which was kind of like 2 or 3 hours in the evening on a good day. I was doing 2 or 3 hours painting on a good day. Like, even though I lost that 40 to 50 hours of work I was doing, I didn't replace that with art. It didn't significantly change me. So I just kind of, I do not want to discourage people from doing what they love and telling people they have to do dead-end, soul-destroying jobs. But I also do not want to glorify the idea that taking a more fun career will fix everything. It doesn't. That still takes a lot of introspective figuring out and things like that. So
I mean, on a political note, I'd love for us to try out the universal basic income thing, because this whole discussion is what that's aiming to solve, is to provide this sort of level safety net of, okay, you can pursue your dreams, you can pursue this fun thing, and if it doesn't work out, you'll be fine. You can
still eat.
Which is great. That's why I'd love to see that happen, so that more people can do stuff like that. More people can have, even if it's very basic, they can have a very basic safety net that they know is there. It's a lot easier to pursue things like this that are very risky if you know you're not going to be completely screwed if it doesn't work out.
And that is what you offered for me, a safety net. And it is off of the back of that I've had all of these epiphanies. I've had the safe space to process these things and understand more about myself. And I wish more people got that opportunity.
Yeah, me too.
That would be great. But
we'll see.
Politics. On that note, thanks guys.